afterwards to hear, Ruth, what people are thinking about Americans today in your country. So we need to, hold on one second. What I'd like to focus on today is just really, once again, calming our nervous system down. We have this incredible amount of strain and stress that has just been ongoing. And if you take stock to really try to realize how it has impacted you, I'm sure it has impacted you. All the stress of what our whole nation has been going through, the world has been going through for a very long time, including yesterday's events. So today in our practice, we're going to focus on breath and on some forward folds. So forward folding, forward bends, as much as I don't teach them a ton, because I think they also can be challenging for the body. So Christine, I see you up there in my little corner. Be very careful. When you've had issues with your back or your sacrum, sometimes deep forward folding can be a little problematic. So I want you to be very mindful that the purpose of our practice in forward folding today is not about how open can I get my back body and my hamstrings and how deep can I go, but rather how can I use the folding in on myself just a bit to soothe the nervous system. So when our heads are supported by our hands or any other support, it is a message to our nervous system to calm down. So there's lots of ways to go about handling stress, obviously. I just got out of the pool, and that's something that really helps me. But whatever it is that you do, sometimes if we can do some things in our practice that help calm our nervous system, it can be very helpful. Now, having said that, if you only revert to going in on yourself, this is not going to help us stay courageous and strong. So we have to balance our practice always. You don't want to get into the habit in your yoga practice of retreat. That retreat is good. It's important to have retreat, to come into yourself, to find those places of restoration. But you also have to use your practice as an avenue to find resiliency and courage and strength so that you can not just become the turtle folded in on itself, but to move outward into the world and do your part, any part, little tiny parts that we can all do to face the world with courage and the uprightness that we need. So forward folds are good when you're in that stress state and you need to calm the nervous system, but you want to balance with some heart opening and just moving in general. Moving the body is a great way to just release stress, to get some of those stress hormones out of us. If we just sit and watch a screen and our blood pressure starts to rise and our hormones, cortisol starts to roll into our body and we don't diffuse it outward, this is not very helpful for our nervous system. So shaking, dancing, walking, running, singing, anything that's going to help you discharge energy outward is a really helpful thing when you are feeling stressed. And then also taking time to recharge the nervous system and go in. So we'll try to do a little bit of everything in our practice today, but treat ourselves gently so that we can have some healing happen within your own heart if yesterday was stressful to you. All right, so let's sit up straight and tall. And can you be the eye of the storm? Uncertainty is the nature of things. Chaos, flow. These are not unusual things energetically that happen in our world or in the universe. This is part of our existence. So how do we stay grounded? How do we stay present? Our eye on the truth of our highest potential amidst the storm. So ground yourself first before we start to breathe. Just see what it feels like to root the body down. To find that sense of coming home inside yourself. Is your pelvis heavy? Do you need to rock around a little bit on your pelvis to feel your pelvis, to feel your sit bones, to feel that you have support? Are your legs in a comfortable position? Are your hips in line with the knees or higher than your knees? And once you feel that you have a grounded base, see what it feels like to open your body up for breath. Expand the heart a bit, open the collarbones. Just the simple act of resisting collapse is an act of courage. So let's resist the collapse within our own bodies. Feel the shoulder blades move down the back a little bit, kind of settle your shoulders on the shelf. Feel the sense of ease come into your face. And once you have that sense of quiet openness in your body, start to breathe well. So there's nothing in particular to begin that I want you to do with your breath. Only the simple art of paying attention to how your breath is right now. Are you having good inhales? Is there any pauses that you notice between inhale and exhale, between exhale and inhale? Are your exhales choppy, short, long, steady? What are they? As you start to kind of diagnose the current state of your breath, it's really hard to glimpse the natural breath because as soon as you turn in to look, it changes. So let's consciously start to shift the breath now into some long exhales. It's the simplest of tools to stimulate the calming aspect of your nervous system. There's lots of fancy pranayama to layer upon, but the simplest is to just take some long breaths out. And if you struggle with this, if your breath just whooshes out and you don't have a lot of control over the speed, try pursing your lips and breathing out through some gentle, soft pursed lips, not tight. When you breathe out through these pursed lips, can you relax all the structures in your mouth? Your palates, your teeth, your cheeks, the inner walls of your cheeks, your lips, your tongue. Is there a way for you to have that sense that even the restfulness that you're cultivating inside your mouth can teach your body to relax, can teach your mind the gift of restoration? Let what you're feeling in your tongue, in your lips, in your mouth permeate through the rest of your skull so that there's softness everywhere as you exhale. Feel your chest stay open and free. Stay stable in the pelvis and the open spine as you keep lengthening the exhales. Now, it can be stressful to have a pause, especially if you are stressed. But if you feel okay with it, try now to include a tiny pause at the bottom of the exhale, at the very end of your exhale. And just enough to quiet the mind, to have a moment of silence. Notice if you have a deep need for an inhale. And if you do, see if you can find just the right pace of this where you don't feel a need for a gulp. And even if you have a little need for a gulp, can you resist the gulp? Can you resist the The breath in being a, a quick, forceful thing, but just stay slow, relaxed and slow. Melt through the base of your skull, the inner ears, the channels deep inside your ears. Connect that into the cheekbones and the jaw, and the sinuses, and the root of the tongue. Find all those deeper places that you can melt. Rest the shoulders. If you are noticing through this breath work that fatigue, you feel tired, or if you feel anxious, know that we're about to move and this will help. Place your palms at your heart and feel the lift of your heart. Spread open the collarbones. Be courageous in the body. Feel the body tell the mind that courage is here. And offer an intention. See what you can find. What's going to help you just today? Don't worry about tomorrow. Just today, what do you need? Okay, and then let's release the hands and find our way onto our back. All right, so lie down and just see what it feels like to spread your limbs. Okay. Stretch your body. Wiggle the fingers and the toes. Roll your wrists and your ankles. Just find some movement on the very exterior of your body. And then see what it feels like to stretch your arms directly overhead and lengthen the sides of you. Open up your sides. Breathe into your sides. And this little bit of back bend that's living in this posture, let this invigorate that sense of courage, the I can do this feeling in the body. Okay. And now bring your knees into your chest. And you might have lost a little bit of your I can do this feeling in the body, but notice if you feel a little bit more relaxed. If just the simple art of feeling the chest, the thoracic back bend and the thoracic forward bend, the shift in your mentality that happens from the positions of your body. Open up your knees away from each other and back in, and just feel a sense of swinging in the hip joints, so that there's movement. One of the things that we always want to be mindful of when we're doing forward bending poses is that our femur bones can nestle back into the back edge of the hip joint, set into the back edge of the hip joint, so that we can move our pelvis well and not push our pelvis forward. Right knee into the chest, left leg long on the floor, and then switch, left knee and right leg, and then switch, and you start to build the teeniest bit of heat in the body as you go back and forth between the two sides. Feel the compression, feel the openness. Make sure you're staying present with breath. Okay, and then put your feet on the floor. Stretch your arms straight out to the side. Stretch open through your palms. And let's windshield wiper our knees left and right. Okay, so just feeling some warming in your spine here by a little bit of twisting, some warming in your side bodies. You can move fast or slow. Come into the breath again. All right, and then we're going to roll right over onto our right side and come stacking everything. So find right angles, hands, palms on top of each other, knees on top of each other, ankles on top of each other, legs are at right angles, so knees are bent, hips are bent. Take a deep breath, open up to a twist. So open up that left arm and then exhale and come back. Of course, if you need a block or a blanket under your head for a pillow, take that and just find the opening. Find the closing. Move with breath. So, if you're feeling anxious and your breath is fast, just try to marry movements to the breath, and then you can start to slow the movements down
while your breath is tethered to your movement so that you can find that you can start to slow the breath down just by the guidance of the body movements. All right, and then we're going to go ahead and find our way onto our back, roll right over to the other side. Take a pillow with you if you need it. Square up your body, so hips and knees. And then we're opening up, and then we're closing up. So it's like opening up a book and closing a book. So stretching through the shoulders, getting the chest open, but also feeling some movement through the spine, kind of warming up some of those littler muscles that are right up against the spine. You can be moving fast, you can be moving slow, whatever is your natural rhythm here. And then go ahead and roll back onto your back. Starfish, open your body, spread your limbs. Then exhale, knees into your chest. Chin up, this time curl in. Let's do that one more time. Feel the openness. So wiggle out your fingers and your toes. Exhale, feel the closedness inside your body. Close up. And then roll over onto your side and come up onto your hands and your knees. So as you find all fours, feel your hands root into the earth, connect, yield as best as you can, and then start to move into some cat-cows. So ripple through your spine, notice your vertebrae, notice your shoulder blades, notice your head, notice your tail, notice your pelvis, notice any kind of feeling that you have as you move through your spine. And then stretch back towards child's pose. Our first forward fold. Okay, so just see what it feels like. Decide where you want your knees to be. Do you want your knees far away from each other? Do you want your knees close by to each other? Are you comfortable? Do your knees bend well enough for this? If not, can you move forward just a little bit so that you have less flexion in your knees, perhaps something behind your knees? Just see if you can get to a place of comfort. We're going to do this later with a bolster, but just for now, feel what it feels like to drop in. Let the forehead relax. Feel if you are able to be lucky enough to touch your forehead onto the floor. If not, maybe put it up on a block so you can feel that impact of forehead resting on something and how this affects your nervous system. Breathe well. Now, even though we're in a forward fold, let's find some openness to experience that courage. So walk the hands over to one side of the mat and feel the side body stretch open. See what it feels like to lengthen and open. Every time you find any bit of opening in the body, bring your courage into that space. See if this expansiveness that you feel can be married with breath and can be married with the sense of, I stay open, I stay free, I stay available to possibility. Let the stretch feeling in the body be married to the mental feeling of courage and openness. Walk over to the other side. See what it feels like to stretch that side of the body. Relax the forehead. Stay connected to both the sensation of a forward fold, relaxing your nervous system, and the sensation of a big side opening to give you the breath and spaciousness for courage and possibility. And then come back onto all fours. Find a cat-cow here. And then as you're ready, let's turn your cat-cow into dog pose. Okay, so spread out through your hands, spread out through your feet, and extend through your spine. Dog pose is this beautiful posture of length and space, but also of retreat, introspection, inversion. So find that beautiful balance that this pose has. And you may not find it right away. So if you need to move around a little bit and just get the body warmed up, then get the body warmed up. Right? So you can pedal your heels down, bending a knee, swaying a hip. move around anywhere in the body that feels supportive. And then as you start to discover the posture in a little more stillness, see if you can feel that balance point of spaciousness and freedom, surrender, finding that sense of deep inner space, curling in on the self, retreating in on the self. Let the eyes melt. Where in your body feels courageous, open to possibility. Where in your body feels the sense of retreat and introspection. This is always what we're searching for in our yoga practice, is to yoke these forces together. Lots of different oppositional forces. Well, let's walk our feet forward, come into Uttanasana, fold in half, bend your knees a whole lot here. Relax your head, bobble it around. Feel free to sway your hips or your shoulders. Inhale for a halfway lift. Hold the thighs back, knees, shins moving forward just a bit. Exhale and melt back down. Put your hands underneath, so palms underneath the soles of your feet. Try to walk your toes all the way to your wrists. Bend your knees as much as you want. Round in a little bit if it feels good. And then with your hands underneath, turn the eyes of the elbows forward and begin to lift your chest. Bend your knees a lot. Lift the sit bones. And then relax and melt back down. Undo your hands. Push off your feet and rise up. We were down there for quite a while, so if you're dizzy, just pause for a minute on the way up so you feel grounded and stable. And then we're going to start to shake. Okay. So first just shake the hands, shake the arms, move around, shake your shoulders, and then start to shake your whole body. And you do not need to leave the floor. You can lift one foot up and shake one leg. And you can shake the other leg. You can shake your spine and just feel yourself move a little bit. Feel free to jump. If you're a jumper, you don't have to jump, but if you're a jumper, you can jump. How's your breath? You may seem silly doing this. You might feel like, what the heck am I doing? I'm not doing yoga, but this is good for you. Okay, so even if you feel silly, do it anyway. Find your breath. And then find some stillness. Just notice what happened. What does your body feel like right now? Where are you alive? Where you weren't before? And now we're going to do the same thing with smacking. So go ahead and smack your skin. If you have clothes all the way down to your wrists, that's okay. Just find a sense of go along your ribs, get it into your back, everywhere you can. Give yourself some good smacking. Just invigorate. We're waking the nervous system first so that when we move into forward bends, we have a lot of awareness of what we're doing. Okay. Don't forget your face. And then when you're done, notice the impact of that. So if anxiety or stress disassociates you, there's very simple things you can do, like the shaking and the slapping we just did, to bring yourself back into your body. So do you feel in your body? Okay, take a deep breath, open yourself up, lean back a little bit if it feels good, open the heart, exhale, and fold forward. Relax your neck. Halfway lift, thigh bones are moving back, legs are straight. Exhale and relax, bend your knees. 2 blocks, step your right foot forward, your left foot back, come into a lunge, and feel the openness of the hip flexors. Find that courageous heart again. Spread open your wings. Breathing here. Feel the roots of your feet drop down. All right, and then let's begin to move as we often do. Square hips, tuck chin toward chest. Go ahead and go back and forth between bending the front knee and straightening the front knee. Try not to lean into ligaments. See what it feels like to stay stretching in the belly of muscles, both in the hip flexors of your back leg and your hamstrings of your front. Okay. Great, and then come forward into a lunge again. Steady your feet, ground down, and rise up. Decide where you want your arms to be in space to experience the right venue for your shoulders, and then open up. Find the courageous heart. So what part of your body feels courageous in this pose? Where are you grounded? Can you find that long exhale like we practiced in the beginning? See if you can stay with that breath pattern as often as you can remember through your practice, slowing down the exhales as best as you can. Open the heart, spread out your wings if you want to, and release the hands down onto the ground. Back foot comes forward. Fold, bend your knees, relax your head, feel that retreating in. Halfway lift, the spine grows. Exhale and melt back down. Step your right foot back, left foot comes forward, chest is broad and open. Find your breathing. Try to find the courageous parts of your body. What's open to possibility? Try not to shut yourself down. Let's start to move, squaring hips as you go so you can begin to straighten and bend that front knee. You can move your spine along with a little bit, tucking your chin just slightly as you straighten your leg, feeling that back line of the body stretch open. Discover the breath. Even when you're in the folding part of this, where your leg is straight and your chin is tucked, where is there a possible spot for courage and openness? So as we start to move into some deeper forward folding soon, try not to lose the spaciousness. Okay, come into a lunge. See what your feet feel like. Are they grounded? Are you open? Can you stretch yourself up? Where's your balance today? And if your balance is off today, hold on to something. Take support. We all need support sometimes. Every day we all need support. So see what it feels like if you need physical support to take it, to hold on to something. If your arms are going up or out, where is the chest? Where is the open heart? Where is that sense of possibility? How are your exhales? How is your stability? Can you root into the earth? Can you feel the stable legs, inner thighs hugging, finding that sense of stability through the pelvis? And once again, open up your wings to wherever they want to go. And then release your hands down. This time, come back onto all fours for a moment. Find some cat-cows. Feel the rounding of the spine. And then come onto all fours, flat back. And let's retract and protract the shoulder blades. So just find those muscles between the shoulder blades a little bit as you move the shoulder blades toward the spine and move the shoulder blades away from the spine. And then find a chest opener here, around the back, tuck the chin, and then come to lie down on your belly. You can always come into a plank if you're like, I gotta do a plank, then go ahead and do a plank. Roll the shoulders a few times, take a breath, open the chest, cobra pose when you're ready. Melt, come back down to the floor. Turn your head one way or the other, arms down at your sides, and just feel the front body resting on the ground. When we lie prone, this is another way that our nervous system can be soothed, as long as it's okay for your back. Feel the soothing nature of having your whole torso, your whole belly, chest resting on the floor. Can you feel the breath travel down your spine? Can you feel the breath travel into the lumbar spine? All right, and then go ahead and come back up onto all fours, and let's find a twist. Reach the arm up in the air, exhale and slide that shoulder through. Shoulder blades away from the ears. Feel the space between your shoulder blades broaden. And then inhale and reach that arm all the way up. Place the hand down onto the ground. Second side. Arm up. Bring that shoulder down. Inhale. Arm up to the sky. Place the hand down onto the ground. Step or don't step back. Come back to child's pose one more time. Relax your forehead. This time, bring your knees close together. Decide maybe you need some support of the forehead with a block. Find the breath. Let the breath travel to the back edge of the body. Long exhales. As often as you can, remember to lengthen those exhales. Find a little pause at the bottom of your exhales if it feels good. Okay, come onto all fours and bring your right foot forward. Have two blocks. Bring your hands up onto your hips for a moment. Shorten up your stance. So in Parsvottanasana legs, so the back leg, you can have your legs wider apart or closer. So you decide how left-right width you want to be. But the stance is a lot shorter than what we did earlier in a lunge. Find the length and find that zip up through the front body. Feel the open, courageous heart, the possibility in the front body. Extend forward. Start to feel that your hamstring and glutes on that front leg have to work for the pose, that they're not just passive recipients. Root your big toe into the floor as you reach the hip back. One more time, coming up, open the chest, and now come down again. This time we're going to bring our hands down onto the blocks. So the risk of putting our hands down on something is now we lose a little bit of the effort that our hamstrings were doing before. So find it again. Root into the big toe, pull the hip back, inner spiral the thighs, but find that your hamstring is both flexing and stretching simultaneously. Once you have the length of your spine, that chest broad, keeping that balance point of finding introspection and an outward extension. So find the outward extension. The heart is open, the spine is long. And now to find the inner work, drop your head, bow. See if the bow cannot come with a collapse. So try your best to not collapse into the pose, but to find the integrity, the stability, the spaciousness, and bow and rest into that. How's the exhales now? All right, go ahead and come on up. Bring the arms to the sky. Let's take a twist while we're here. Turn and open up to the right. Drop the shoulders. Feel the core of the body. And then inhale, arms coming up to the sky. Bring just the left hand down onto the block and turn this deeper into Parivrtta Trikonasana. Extend the spine. Find the open heart, the possibility of space. Inner spiral of the thighs. Lengthen somewhere, everywhere. Root into the feet. Breathe your way here. Shoulders are down. Can the exhale still be long? And then release the hands down onto the ground. Back foot comes forward. Fold, bend a lot. Drop your head. Inhale, straighten everything. Halfway lift. Hands on blocks. Take your feet hip width apart. Inner spiral the thighs. Spread open the bottom of the feet. Feel the sit bones lift, 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 and widen. Can you take the roots of your thigh bones back, softening the knees? Feel the extension. Lift the tip of the tailbone up toward the ceiling. And then melt a little bit into a forward fold without losing what you just did in your legs. Keep that. You can bend your knees and still be lifting the sit bones. Relax your head into any level of Uttanasana. Feels good. You can come off the blocks. You can grab onto your elbows. You can hold the floor or your feet or your ankles. You can begin to straighten your legs a little bit more or stay deeply in a tuck. You can extend the spine and relax the neck. Can you feel the balance of both the inner work, the introspection of the forward fold, and the spaciousness, the courage through the spine. Okay, hands back onto blocks. Take your other foot back. So our left foot forward, our right foot back. Shorten up the stance and come up to stand. We were down there for a while, so if you get dizzy, support yourself, hold on to something. Find the breath. So remember, your feet can go wider, you're narrower, your length can change to see what feels good for you. Find your breath. Open up through the front body, zip up like you're zipping up a coat from your pubic bone to your throat. And then exhale with that zipped up coat and extend the spine. So there's a lot of work when you're just kind of hanging out here in space. Your glutes are working hard, your hamstrings, the muscles along your spine, your feet, everything's working for the posture. How is your exhale? And then come rising back up. Find the breath. And this time we're going to take our hands down onto the blocks. So you can either have two blocks next to you. If you need more height, stack one block on top of the other so that the hands can be a little higher. If you don't have blocks, grab a chair or a piece of furniture. There's lots of things around to put your hands on top of. Square the hips. Adjust anything that needs adjusting. So mess around. Where do you want your feet to be? Inner spiral of the thighs. Sit bones are wide. We're keeping a neutral curve in our lumbar spine, so we are not rounding up the back. Lift the sit bones so that you're assured that your pelvis is in a neutral place instead of posterior tilted. Extend the spine, and now just bow the head. Find that balance of both staying erect, spacious, open to possibility in the spine, but at the same time melting, surrendering, dropping inside. And come on up. How's that breath? Keep checking in with the exhales. Reach the arms up, twist to the left, inner spiral of the thighs. Use the work of your core, your obliques on your exhales. Open to possibility through your heart. Come back up. Left hand stays on the left hip. Reach the right arm forward. Bring the hand onto the block. You can stack blocks on top of each other for more height. Start to twist and rotate. Inner spiral of the thighs. Sit bones widen. Hug the femur bones toward the midline, the heads of the femur bones in the hip socket, so you're not popping the hip out to the side. Feel the courageous heart, the long, spacious spine, open to possibility. Maybe lift your arm in the air. Feel the roots of your feet. How are your exhales? And then relax the hand down. Dog pose. Take your blocks off to the side. Extend the spine. Finding the breath. Feel the beauty of this pose. The deep introspection as well as the deep sense of spaciousness through the spine. Breathe here as best as you can. Finding the inhales, finding the exhales. And come forward into a plank. Stabilize yourself. Hold steady. Deep breaths here. Inhaling, exhaling. How are the long, steady exhales in a plank? All right, and then come down onto the floor. Decide how you want to feel in the back then. What pose does your body want to do? And melt and come back down. Come up onto all fours. Feel any movement in your spine before you come back to child's pose. Either do some swishes and sways or some cat-cows. And now we're going to come into a forward fold on a bolster, a dog pose. I have an actual yoga bolster, but if you don't, you can use, a pillow or blankets. I want you to stick this between your legs and come down and rest upon something. So stacking up blankets might be helpful. You can turn your head one side or the other. You can also have support for your forehead so that you can keep your head facing down. If you're lucky enough to have all the yoga props you need, then this is probably pretty comfortable, but I'm hoping that you're finding whatever you have in your house to help you stay relaxed. Feel that sense of letting your chest and your belly, these vulnerable places on our body, they get to be supported, protected. So see what it feels like to let go into that, to feel the deep compression in the hips and knees. All right, and then go ahead and come out of the pose. And I recommend that if you are comfortable in that, if you have the right props for that, it's a great posture for when you are feeling anxious to let your body deeply relax. Now we're going to be on the ground for a bit. We're going to find a couple of seated forward folds. So I recommend sitting up on the edge of a blanket or even two blankets, depending on your flexibility. We're going to take our legs straight out. Janu Shirshasana. Right leg comes out, left leg is going to tuck up. So if your knee doesn't bend well in this position, hopefully you have some props to put underneath your knee, like a block or a blanket or a bolster or something. Now remember, we want grounding, and we don't want rounding in the spine. We want to keep the neutral curve in our lumbar spine. So it's less about depth, where we end up getting really round, and more about space. Find the balance point of, I like to use a strap around my foot. If you don't have all these props, you can always just put your hands on the floor. If you can, find the balance of feeling the open possibility, the courage, the spaciousness, and then find also that sense of surrender. Relax your forehead down. Now, if you are lucky and have the props that I have in my home, which includes a couple of blocks and a bolster, you can make a bridge. So if you want to, you can have two blocks, one on either side of your leg, and then a bolster so that you can come down and rest in this pose with your forehead softly resting on something. Before I had yoga props, I did this on my coffee table some. I would do I put a blanket over my coffee table. So there's always ways to attempt using forward folds, using props around your house for forward folds. No matter what you're doing, can you maintain the neutral curve in your pelvis or in your lumbar spine? That means a neutral pelvis. Slightly anterior tilting the pelvis might feel really good to you. All right, let's go ahead and come on up and find the second side. If you don't have the props that I just demonstrated, you can, if you have two blocks, I think everybody's got two blocks, you can take your two blocks and put your elbows on them and rest your forehead in your hands. So this is another way, after you find the pose, to come into it more softly. You can stack two blocks, one on top of the other if you need more height, and put your head and rest it in your palms. You can do the pose more actively, like I've taught before, with the strap around your foot, finding the length of the spine and just tucking the chin. So decide what it is that you need from your forward folding, both in your mind and in your body, and discover your breath while you're here. Long, steady exhales. If forward folding is difficult on your low back, check in with why. Do you tend to round and push your lumbar spine out? Do you tend to collapse onto your pelvis? Where is the length of your spine, even if you're doing this pose passively and supported? All right, and then relax and come on up.
One thing I forgot to mention is the other thing that you can always do in forward folding postures is if your leg is straight on the ground, this is just like when we do Uttanasana and I tell you bend your knees a lot, you can put some blankets or something underneath your knee so that your knee blocks don't feel, I have a block under there, it doesn't feel so great. A rolled blanket or a towel would feel much better. So that you have a bent knee when you're coming forward into a forward fold, that can be very helpful. So decide if you need that for the next one we're going to do. We're going to do Upavista Konasana. So the legs are taking out wide like a V. I'm still on the edge of my blanket. You don't have to be if you're very capable of holding on to that anterior tilt of the pelvis. If you need some support underneath your knees, you can roll a blanket and stick that underneath your knee. You can have one for each knee. You can use a couch pillow and stick that underneath your knee so that you have some capacity to not overstretch at the knees for this pose. And then, to just include more and more props, if you have a bolster, you can take it on a ramp and put your head on it. You can take your arms onto the edge of a chair or something. You can stack up your blocks. There's so many ways to manage your props or lack thereof to have support in this pose. So you can have 2 blocks in front of you, elbows on top of the blocks, forehead resting in your palms, and you can go as high or as low with all of your props so that you feel that you're in the length of your spine, the rootedness of your pelvis and your legs, the nice neutral pelvis and low back, and support the forehead. When you end up supporting this forehead, however you get there, whatever props you're using, can you feel your body rest into your palms or whatever you're resting your head on? Is your nervous system affected by that support? It's very, very common for us to hold our foreheads when we're stressed about something. It's helpful, it's soothing. So move into that soothing nature now. Breathe into the soothing. I apologize if you can all hear my daughter's class going on right now. She's in school right behind that curtain, and I can hear a lot of students talking about yesterday. So if it's loud, I apologize. Okay. All right, and then go ahead and come out of that pose. Sit cross-legged for a moment if you're able, and if you're not, you can have one leg straight and one leg bent. And we're just going to do a simple twist. Reach the arm up, bring the hand to the outside of the knee, and twist the spine. Drop the shoulders, open up the breath, both inhaling and exhaling. And then inhale, reach the arm up, place the hand to the outside of the knee, drop your shoulders, open across your heart. Deep breaths in, deep breaths away here. And then come back to center. Now, for the last couple of minutes of class, I want you to choose a restorative pose. And there's ways to go in, there's ways to go open. So if you feel like what you need is the courageous open heart, try maybe Supta Baddha Konasana. If you feel like you need a little bit more of that introspection, maybe try leg up the wall pose or another child's pose over a bolster or the twist over a bolster. So there's lots of choices. Supta Baddha Konasana is the one where you have the soles of your feet together. You're lying on your back, knees are out to the butterfly out. Now I'm doing this with nothing, but you can have lots of support. You can stack up props behind you so that you're on a ramp with your body. You can have one block low, one block medium, and put a bolster or couch pillows on top of it. Soles of the feet together, lots of props with blankets and such underneath the knees. You can do heart bench where you're just laying back on the 2 blocks. Leg up the wall pose. If you're going with your legs up, you can put a blanket under your pelvis or underneath your head or nothing at all.
If you're doing child's pose over a bolster, that's like we did before. If you're going to choose a twist over a bolster, you take the bolster out from your side. One leg is straight out, the other bent, and you twist and lay down over the bolster. Okay. There's so many different ways to move into restorative poses. So discover, find your way, breathe your way here, and see what it feels like to take as much props as you need. So take your time to find what you need for this pose so that you are at ease, supported. When we feel support, so much is good, right? If you are hanging in space, if your limbs are hanging in space, your nervous system does not relax nearly as well as if you are supported. So take the time to get things right, to have that sense of your limbs, your knees, your arms, your head, feeling like you have the support you need. Once you are there, melt. Come in to the state of grace that is relaxing to you. Rediscover as your limbs drop, as your spine drops, that balance point between deep nurturing of self and staying open to possibility, stimulating both restoration and courage at the same time. Stay present with your breath as best as you can. Feel the long, long exhales. Return back to that original breath we did in the beginning of a steady, maybe pursed lips, maybe you don't need that. Steady, long, soft. Everything is soft in your face as you exhale. And maybe just a little pause.
As you are ready, if you want to transition into Shavasana, you can stay where you are too. You don't have to move. But if you want to lie flat and let your whole body rest on the floor, this is the time. If you start to move again, keep that sense of peace, quiet, as much as possible as you move from one position to another. And then just return to your melting and your breathing. Let's begin to deepen our breath again. As you start to move the body a bit, small, maybe little movements of toes and fingers or turning the head. See what you feel like. Let's go ahead and find our way onto our side and use your arms to lift yourself up. Take your time, move slowly. As you come to an upright posture, just be very mindful of trying to seek that balance of staying open and free, courageous, and at ease, calm, breathing, present. Offer your prayers, your intentions out to whomever you are sending them to. Namaste. Thank you, everyone.